About 5 more minutes and then we'll get started. Just so we have 1 minute left, if everyone can hear me, just kind of put the reactions at the bottom, put like the thumbs up in your screen. If you can hear me okay. I'll try to watch the chat too in case there's any problems. Thanks for the thumbs up. Okay, good morning, everyone. This is the session on Twitter and Instagram in the classroom. Let me make sure I have all the settings. So this is being recorded. And then that way, if there's anything that you want to go back and listen to, I will share. I'm also going to share the presentation link. I'll put that in the chat. Okay, so I put the presentation link in the chat, and I also put it with the other resources on the Padlet for the conference as well. All right, so let's go ahead and get started a little bit. So this session is about Twitter and Instagram. It's primarily going to be about Twitter, but a lot of the ideas and things cross over and transfer into Instagram as well. And my name is Robin Purdy, and my handle is Soy Bilingual. My students had a competition to come up with my handle, and they decided that my name used to be Bowling, and so it's kind of a play on I am bilingual in Spanish. All right, so a little bit about me. My name is Robin Purdy, like I said. I am currently an ESL teacher with Hamilton County ESC, but I was a Spanish teacher for 11 years in a rural area in Adams County in Peoples, Ohio. And the two best ways to get a hold of me are email and my Twitter handle. So the reason why I got involved with Twitter, first of all, is basically I was trying to show our students what they could use or how they could use their Spanish in the real world. And the students were already living on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And so I feel like it's kind of, it's important to meet the students where they are. And we'll talk about some of the reasons that it is engaging for the students as well. But yeah, I know that the technology unit in the textbook is always outdated. I think it was talking about disco compacto and all kinds of things that students don't know. They want to know words like follow and share and things like that. So that's how I got started on Twitter. Was I just wanted to make sure my students were accessing the language in mediums that they were already using. Okay, so first we're going to start with a self-assessment. For the self-assessment, since this audience is for world language teachers, so we know that we have proficiency levels with our language learning. So if you start at Novice Low, the comparison for this presentation is that I do not have a Twitter, Instagram account, and I'm not really sure how it works. And then Novice Mid, I may have an account, but mostly just observe, if anything. And then Novice High is I have an account, I tweet or post regularly. This can also be a personal account, it doesn't have to be educational. And then the goal is for our students to reach intermediate, where we can have them apply the knowledge that they have and to have them actually be able to function on their own. So this is, I use Twitter, Instagram to help my students and myself continue learning beyond the classroom. So take a look and see about how you feel about Twitter and Instagram. And it's okay if you have a different proficiency level for Twitter than you have for Instagram, because our students have different languages that we're learning as well. And so they may have different proficiency levels for their languages. So if you don't mind in the chat, just put which level you think you are. Okay, I see lots of novice. That's great. Okay, great. So hopefully this will give you some new ideas. And I know this 15 minutes is going to go by fast. So you guys have my information and we can always chat afterwards too. Okay, great. Okay, so basically how I've divided this presentation up into is how can teachers use Twitter and Instagram, and the 3 areas. So the first area is going to be professional development for teachers. This is focusing on the teacher side of it. And then the last 2 sections are going to be interpretive and interpersonal communication. And I would argue presentational communication also goes into the 3rd part as well. And so interpretive communication is basically using Twitter and Instagram as an authentic resource. And then interpersonal communication is using Twitter and Instagram as an authentic audience. So that's kind of how I distinguish them. And then in each of the 3 parts, there's going to be that that same, let me see here, that same setup, novice low, novice mid through intermediate low. And then you can try to figure out just one step that you might be able to try depending on your level, because we all have different levels for this. Okay, let's start with professional development. These numbers are probably a little bit outdated because the source was from a few years ago, but basically there are a lot of tweets that are related to education flying around, but 87% of teachers have not incorporated social media into their classrooms for various reasons. I mean, there's a lot of logistical things that you have to take into consideration as well. But I think though that most people don't see the benefit of social media, and we have lots of trainings on technology, but we rarely have trainings on social media. It's something that people kind of tend to stay away from. And then 20% of students are intimidated, or of teachers are intimidated by students' knowledge of technology. And this is something that I would say that I wasn't intimidated by it, but it helped me. The students were willing to teach me, and they love to troubleshoot. I mean, this is what they do on a daily basis if something doesn't work right with their videos. So, or something like that they're working online. So, I really appreciated that telling the students and being open with them and saying, we're going to try something new, or I'm going to try this and it may not work, but I need you guys to help me. So I would encourage you not to feel too intimidated. Students are happy to share what they know. Okay, this is just an a infographic from Sylvia Duckworth. She said she's a big proponent of using Twitter, and I would recommend following her as well. Basically, if you live in the 21st century, you have access to the internet, and you have a growth mindset, you like to make international connections, then yes, you should be on Twitter. And the only thing is, if you live in a communist state, then you have to use Twitter with caution. So that's her infographic. Okay, so basically what is Twitter? This is for the novice low people. So if you're a little bit above novice low, let's just take a few minutes and make sure we understand like the bare bones of what tweeting is. So basically, I've pointed out here, this is the handle or username, usually has the @ symbol. And then if you want to mention them, you use the @ symbol. If you want to mention a person or give them a notification that they've been mentioned. The limit is now 280 characters. It used to be 140, but it's very concise and real time, passing information very quickly. One thing that you might notice is that my Twitter is in Spanish. So this is followed by Señorita Spathis and 52 more. And so this also helps me get more target language exposure for myself. So then down here we have the icons for reply. Retweet just means send out exactly what they said, a copy of it. You can favorite things. The 3 dots always has more information. Anything that is red, you can click on. So you can click on the person's handle and go to the profile. You can click on the hashtag to search other tweets that have the same with the same hashtag, shared links, anything like that. So I'm going to show you a couple other examples of what just tweets look like. So you can have a conversation going between different groups. And then let's do a little basic overview of Instagram as well. So Instagram is mostly photos, but so you still have the same thing. You have your handle or user up here in bold. You have a caption usually. You typically have like a location where the post came from. And then you have hashtags, just like you have on Twitter. You have the heart to like, comment, send messages. You can also send comment at the bottom. So basically all of these, it comes down to interactions. In the comments, there's lots of conversations that go on, and the language that they're posting for the caption. Basically, we're going to use the language that is in there with the context that the students already know. Okay, so for the professional side of things, now that we've had a bare bones look at tweets and Instagram, and I know that's probably not enough for anyone, but I would love to talk with anyone later if they really want a more in-depth overview. So this is one of my, Twitter is one of my biggest resources for professional development. So I was a Spanish teacher. I was the only Spanish teacher in the building in a rural area. And basically it was my professional learning network. And I kept up with best practices, up-to-date changes in policy. This is where I turn to for professional development. So this quote is, "The most valuable resource that all teachers have is each other. And without collaboration, our growth is limited to our own perspectives." So if I would not have had Twitter, it would have been a lot harder for me to have all of those other perspectives and use the wisdom of other teachers. This is a quote from Jenny Grebeck, and "My next professional development is usually on Twitter. It's daily, it's random, and it's frequently amazing." So that's why I am a fanatic of Twitter. Okay, why would you want to use an online professional learning network? Number one, it's accessible anytime, anywhere. You have to wait at the doctor's office. You have to wait in line somewhere. You can just flip through a little bit and get some inspiration. It is immediate and practical. So these are two characteristics that are usually missing from traditional PD. Like, it's not immediate that you can use. I appreciate the tried and true resources from others' experiences. I like when other teachers post a unit or a resource or an idea, and I know that they made it work. So then I know that I can do it also with less or minimal tweaking. It brings teachers out of isolation, which this is one of the most common reasons that people leave the profession of teaching. So it's a great way to have that connection. You can get support 24 hours a day. Like I said, I stay current in education trends through Twitter. And self-reflection is also key. I tend to use it when I'm processing my thinking at a conference. I will tweet out, and so it's kind of helps me. It's like saving all of your notes from conferences, but you're sharing them, so you can search them later, or also that they can also be shared with you or with others who might find it. Okay, how do we get started? So we want to include your picture and an educator bio if you want an educator account. You differentiate your stream based on who you want to follow. So I want to show you a couple quick start lists I've created. If you click on, and I can put this in the chat as well if that would help. So basically what happens is I have these lists of just people to get started. And so you can, what it does is it brings up a list. It shows the handle. It shows a little bit of like the bio. And then all you have to do is kind of like hover over the name and then just hit the word follow. And then you can just immediately have people. So this is kind of a quick start list for me. Let's see. Then I also have lists based on, I did this presentation with another French teacher before. So I have French authentic resources and Spanish authentic resources. And so that just starts to fill your feed with your target language, and you kind of find things and take screenshots of things as you go. And then if you really have a couple teachers or a couple people that you really like to follow, then you can click on their profile and then follow the people that they follow. So it's kind of like a black hole or a rabbit hole sometimes if you go down, just to warn you. So, but if it becomes overwhelming, you just unfollow certain people, and those people, like, they won't know. It's not a notification. So that's one of the other reasons why I started using Twitter and Instagram is you don't have to mutually follow the other person like Facebook is. You have to both accept. And so my students could follow me if they wanted, but I didn't have to follow them back. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is a Twitter chat. On a specific day and time, people use their Twitter accounts, they discuss a topic, and everything includes a certain hashtag. And this is the hashtag symbol. And basically it categorizes your tweets so that all of the tweets, you can click on the hashtag and see all the tweets from that topic. So I have combined a list of several hashtags that I find very useful. This is for all educators on Twitter. We have education chat, teach like a pirate, learn like a pirate, standards-based learning chat, ditch that textbook, a lot of common trends in education that have kept going for a long time. And then they have conversations online as well. My favorite hashtag that if you take away from this presentation is LangChat, hashtag LangChat. That's the one that has all the language teachers around the world, but there are also others, World Language Teach, Early Language for early language teachers. Let's see, Authres is authentic resources. So teachers find a resource that's in the target language that they're using for class, they share it. If you teach AP, heritage language, if your school has a seal of biliteracy, 2 by Lit to Quit, there's a whole bunch of them that are great to just kind of get on and kind of lurk around and see what is interesting to you. Then I also have some that are language specific. So now that I've made the switch to ESL, I've also been checking the ELL chat. We have some German, Latin, French, Spanish. And then there are some language teachers on Instagram, and you can search by comprehensible input. LangChat is still on there, even though it's not as common. Some of them still apply from Twitter. Okay, if you're doing a Twitter chat, the best thing to use is Tweetdeck, because for me, the tweets start going really quickly and it's hard to keep track of everything. So I just type in LangChat by this magnifying glass, and then I add a column. So this is only searching LangChat. You can drag the columns however you want. I like to put the notifications to the right. So as I am listening to the chat or participating, then over here, I can see if anyone has liked a post or a tweet that I had, or if anyone has commented on it, and then I can see that immediately. I keep Global Ed Chat nearby too. They usually happen on the same night. LangChat, by the way, is Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And then Authentic Resources, I love that hashtag, and I'm always kind of saving resources that other teachers are sharing. So these are another way to use tweeting is live tweeting an event, in particularly a conference. So what I've done is over here, I put Central States, ACTFL from last year. I put OFLA, the conference, and this is the language learning technology. And basically, this Linda says it the best, that tweeting is live collaborative note-taking. Be generous and share. And so I have followed along with conferences that I have not attended, and now it makes even more sense now that a lot of conferences are virtual. So I would really recommend searching for this in Twitter, and especially the ACTFL ones as well. And then make sure you mark see or view all tweets instead of just the most popular ones, so you can see them in chronological order. Okay, we're gonna take a moment now. So this is, if you have any questions, you can unmute or type in the chat box, but decide where you are and then what is one thing that you'll do within 1 week. So that's the wow, within 1 week. So Novice Low, are you just going to search LangChat on twitter.com so you don't even have to have your account yet? There's LangChat summaries online. Novice Mid, are you going to start following more people and kind of like and be more of like behind the scenes but liking the posts? Put your app in your target language to get more practice. Novice High, you can start retweeting other tweets, and then that way you don't have to actually write your own tweets, but it does add to your feed. Maybe you want to try to write a tweet, use LangChat. And then Intermediate Low is if you want to try a Twitter chat or a conference. So let's just take 1 minute and just kind of decide what can we do to increase our professional development through Twitter and Instagram. So the question is, how do we know when our content area goes live? Because LangChat, you can post with LangChat hashtag all the time, but typically there's a moderator, and the moderators will announce, and it's usually set on a weekly time. So LangChat is Thursdays at 8. Yeah. That's okay. All teachers are welcome. There are social studies chats, and I'll have to look that up for you. I'm going to write that down. Okay, just about a few more seconds. All right, so the next section that we're going to talk about is how do we use Twitter and Instagram in the interpretive communication. And so this is authentic language that our students are trying to understand or interpret through reading mostly. Okay, so why use tweets or even Instagram? The thing that I like about this for our students is, especially for novices, the language is kind of in like little bite-sized sections of language. So it's not so overwhelming. Hashtags have repetitive and predictable structures. So you can, I'll show you some examples of some sentence starters. And it's just engaging to teenagers. They're They're familiar with it, they're used to it, so they don't have to adapt as much to the platform. So basically what I would recommend, if your feed doesn't have, if you notice something lacking, so these are some types of categories that you might want. And again, you can click on the link and see more lists by Sarah Elizabeth Cottrell. And she has more lists like artists, and I think she has sports leaders and things like that that you can add to your feed. So mine is, for example, very heavy on the countries that I had visited, but I had not, I didn't have as much exposure to Central America. And so I started looking for accounts and people who would tweet more about Central America. And so I got more, more information in an area that I was lacking. And then another area that I needed was the clothing unit in the textbook is always outdated. And so I needed, so I started following fashion magazines in Spanish, and kind of just made sure that I had a better representation. And I started taking screenshots throughout the year. And then by the time the next year came around, when that unit, I had all kinds of resources that I could use, and they were authentic. Okay, let's start with Novice Low. So this is a very, very low tech. Students can write their responses. A lot of people have said, you know, Twitter might be blocked at their school, or they just don't want to deal with the devices. So sometimes students, when they leave the room, they just use their tweet as an exit slip, and that's fine. It's just a small bite-sized quantity of language. So this hashtag is an example. This is from Zachary Jones, and he has Spanish resources online. And basically it's just the text of all the tweets, and the text is copied, and then it has a number down the side for reference. And so they have used the hashtag as a sentence starter. So it says, I want a boyfriend that. And so for language people, this is introducing the subjunctive tense or subjunctive mood. And so I want a boyfriend that is tall, please. I want a boyfriend that goes with me to the movies Fridays. And then there's another one that's I want a girlfriend that as well. And then students can respond and write at the bottom of the page their own tweets about their own ideal person as well. Okay, another interpretive activity is just inferring the language that they're reading. So this comes from Madame Farbe, and she just took screenshots of each tweet and then said, find the word that means the same as these English words, guess the meaning of these words based on the context of the French. And students can use the context to figure out, or at least take a guess for some of the language. This is another one from Madame Farbe, and she took screenshots again, put them onto a sheet, and this one just says circle all of the sports names that you see and then highlight the word sport. So it's kind of a good way to introduce a topic when there's a lot of context and visuals, or maybe even a lot of cognates, that students can figure out the language. Another way to use Instagram is a photo with a caption. And so I like to take a screenshot, and I like to screenshot everything around, even the icons, and kind of adds to the context. So I asked my students for this one, what words can you pick out from the context? They could pick out today, beach. They knew it had to do with food, and they knew the word for lunch. So it was very similar there. And then plus we had all the weather symbols here. And then my question was, when was this posted? So if you look at the top, it's posted in January 12th. And so we kind of talked about, well, is that what you do in January? And living in Ohio, students were kind of shocked that people were going to the beach in January. So what we did was we clicked on the username and found out that it was a person in Argentina. And so then we had a good conversation about the differences in seasons and what it would be like to have, Christmas at the beach. So it started a lot of conversation about the culture of Argentina. Another interpretive is for students to have a short summary. You can do it after a unit, or this one was summarize your year in 3 words, or this year I want, or propósitos is like resolutions. And so basically all I did was I took a screenshot, I put it in a table, and I numbered it on the left just kind of as a reference for when we talked about the tweets. For novice students, 3 words is doable. It's enough. And then for intermediate students, 3 words is a creative challenge. So it worked out really well. There's a couple of them says like I always have hunger, and so then they had all kinds of little icons. I started to tweet. I study, boring study. It was worth the trouble. Soccer, soccer, and soccer. So just some ideas. Another one is to talk about the cultural significance, kind of like the beach picture before. So this was summarize your year in 3 words, and it said no more Krishners. And so we talked about what country is the person who tweeted this from, because this was their government official. How do they feel? Is this a positive or negative tweet? And so you can see the champagne over here, so you can take that into consideration. Do others agree with this opinion? That's something else you can ask based on if there are retweets and likes at the bottom. So just kind of getting all the information out of the visual that you can. Okay, another interpretive activity is I just have mostly my upper level students, but just do student research. So the assignment was go and read tweets about Three Kings Day, report back on some traditions. I gave them some of the most popular hashtags and that were trending at the time. And the next day they came in with their questions. They asked, what is the figurine? Why do some people want to find the figurine in the bread? Why do some people not want to find it? They asked about the animals. People had that the Three Kings come in on. This one was talking about that they wanted new white Converse. And if you look, it says "Ay Dios." And so that kind of brought up a conversation too about that's their dialect for instead of the S to kind of aspirate the end. So we had lots of conversations based on this, just because they picked what they were interested in and what they had questions about. So it's a great way to start a new unit, new cultural unit. Okay, we're gonna take a 2-minute break right now. So if you're novice low, within 1 week, maybe you should just try out the Diccionario worksheets, which is a combination of Twitter and Diccionario, just on paper. If you're novice mid and you want to try maybe changing your location, see what's trending in the target culture. Novice high, start taking some screenshots, some inference activities. Intermediate low, start talking about more dialect differences. What would you like to try in 1 week to help your students interpret authentic resources? And while we're stopped, if anybody has any questions as well. Yes, Dia de los Muertos has a lot of tweets that happen. It's And you can change your settings to Mexico, so you can see what's trending in Mexico as it gets closer. Great idea. There's a lot of Dia de Muertos infographics too that you can search. A lot of those get posted around that time. All right, we're going to finish up the next section. The next section is how do we use our Twitter and Instagram for interpersonal communication. This is letting our students communicate with an authentic audience, including native speakers. So the benefits to students, they get to see language in action, different than formal textbook language. Students also, because it's writing, have time to comprehend, ask questions, negotiation of meaning, and then put together their response, which is very helpful for novice learners too. Students are motivated to try out the technology, and I always say that everyone's on the same playing field in the fact that you can send a tweet to Shakira if you want. Now she probably gets several and she may not respond to you, but you know that it got there, and so she has an account just like you have the same account. So activity ideas for the classroom. Tweet the experts, send your questions, connect with other students, other classes around the world, join in other projects. There's a lot of basically based on the the UN global goals, and there's a lot of projects that you can join in, and so students can participate from where they are. Okay, let's start with the low tech. Just having students respond. So let's say I had an interpretive activity, maybe from a topic, and then at the bottom, I leave space where students can fill in their profile picture, make up a username, and then this hashtag says, I want, I hope, I don't want you to have any harm, but I hope that, and so this is introducing the subjunctive. So for my students to actually have some practice and using the above examples. You can also publish your class projects. So a few years ago, there was a viral video called Gazpacho, and so it had crazy costumes. So my students wanted to create their own crazy video based on churros, and so I tagged the artist, and then she actually retweeted it at the bottom, which students were so excited about and just felt like their project had been seen and appreciated. So this is an example of using phrases that as sentence starters, the hashtags. So for example, this says, I love you like Miss Venezuela loves her sequins. And this was a Valentine's Day campaign. So other examples are, I love you like sorry, mixing up my languages. I need an app that does something. If I had more time, if I were rich, you haven't lived, if you haven't, whatever. So these are kind of interesting things to search and see what comes up as authentic language. And then students can practice responding back in just a short sentence. Okay, another way to get students talking to each other is having your own class hashtag. And so basically I had to start doing this when we had too many snow days and we had to make up classes, and I wanted an easy way online that I could search it. So I come up with People's High School Blizz, PHS Blizz. I will recommend that you search your hashtag first just to make sure that it hasn't already been used by anyone else, just so it doesn't cause any confusion. And then I had hashtags for choice board, and that students could choose which activity. And so we had to make up a class period for each one. So I did a 30-minute activity and then 10 to 15 minutes to compose their tweet. And then as I was grading them, I just typed in the hashtag into twitter.com and looked. I make sure you click on see all tweets, not just the popular ones. And then as I responded, I would either write a comment or favorite it, and then students knew that I was grading their assignment. Okay, another someone to follow on Instagram is Little EL Stories. This is my friend who teaches English as a second language. And so she posts things that her students are doing for the families to keep them updated as well. So I call it the class paparazzi. Some people have a student who takes over and actually writes the messages. And I think the next one, yeah, that she did the same thing, that students could post. One of their options for writing about it was to put a post for Instagram. And so they picked the picture, and then she would just quote them and say, from student M, and just called them by their initial, and then kept the language that they had. Another example is to come up with a class mascot. This caption says, the view from our classroom this morning, happy 1st of October. And then of course you have the date down here just to double check what the date is. And so this is a good example too of you creating the language and then having students respond to it if you'd like. There's also daily challenges on Instagram that they can be posted if you follow Desafío Instagram L, and that's for Spanish. And then it has a hashtag each day that students can try to come up with a picture for, they can participate in, or you can also use it just to click on the hashtag and see what other people came up with for that day. So just a couple of other examples from teachers that have used Twitter in the classroom. Tweeting students' questions to Olympic athletes, printing out a copy of a Twitter conversation and kind of using that as your text for comprehension questions. Some teachers have had every Thursday that there's a Twitter assignment, and you may give the students an account to follow or a specific thought, and then they can reply to each other's tweets. Some students don't want to use their personal one, which is fine with me, and they would just make up one and just have it for class, and that's fine too. Lots of other ways you can post videos, connect to other classrooms, all kinds of things. I mean, really, you're just putting your tweets out there to connect with the world. And for me, my class was very rural, and so I needed my students to have more access to native speakers. Okay, so for the within 1 week, what would you like to do this week depending on your level? Are we going to do for Novice Low or paper tweets, exit slips? Or are you going to move up to Novice Mid? Try a class hashtag, browse the trending topics in your target culture, start with some hashtags, start collecting them. Students can tweet in on a global conversation or intermediate low. You can start researching a topic, asking questions to experts, or live tweet an event in the target language. Okay, see lots of ideas. Okay, the last section I have is just a few caveats for using social media, and this is why a lot of people are sometimes afraid of using social media in the classroom, is make sure you check your district guidelines for social media and practices. in your technology department, because you don't want any problems with that as well. I would always provide an alternative activity, mostly because some kids may not choose, they might not be engaged by Twitter, that might not be their thing, Instagram, or they just may not have the internet access as well. And the other big caveat is that there are no filters on Twitter, so on Instagram, so you really need to have conversations, honest conversations with students about what is appropriate for class and how to be a digital citizen. So this is my last thought. Twitter is a constantly running river. So go drink, swim, fish whenever you'd like. It'll always be there when you go back. Don't worry about trying to get every idea from Twitter. If it's a good idea, it'll pop back up again. And just so it's not overwhelming for you, just keep it as a constant running source. And I had a few teachers that shared their ideas with me. And that's it. So feel free to unmute if you have any questions. Type in the chat box, email me, talk to me on Twitter later. And thank you for coming to the presentation. Okay, so for the recording, they told me that they will post it in the Padlet as well. So I will just post, I'll share the link after it's over.